Now, the second prophecy that we're going to get into is actually in Isaiah. It's Isaiah chapter 17, and this is a prophecy about Damascus. Now, Damascus is where Israel bombed the Iranian consulate. Damascus is in Syria. Syria is due north of Israel. A lot of the attacks and a lot of the missiles from the northern part of Israel have come from Damascus. And Israel has already responded multiple times by bombing various different places in Damascus. One of the first ones they bombed was the airport there. All right. So this is Isaiah 17, and again, we'll start in verse 1. This is a prophecy about Damascus. Damascus will soon stop being a city. It will become a heap of ruins. Hello and welcome to the Tinfoil Hat Club podcast. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ben.
And thank you for joining us yet again. Ben, it was another good week.
Yes, it was.
Another good week. We all survived the eclipse.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because watching some of the numbers for our show, we never said, I know a lot of crazy people out there. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there for the eclipse. A lot of crazy people said a lot of crazy things. Like we were all going to do that. People were going to get raptured at the eclipse and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And we never said that.
No.
We never said a single thing was going to happen at the eclipse. All of our predictions have been potential predictions. No, we haven't even said it's going to speculation. That's a good way to put it. We have never said that anything is going to for sure happen, but any of our speculation was always like 40 days after the eclipse.
Yeah.
So we still wait to see what that looks like. But I will say, hopefully everybody that is listening to the show and was in a spot to actually see the eclipse was able to do it, because I have to tell you, it is something to watch.
It's beautiful.
It is breathtaking when you get the totality.
Yeah.
Everything before then, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Because you got to look through glasses and, you just see that something's going over the sun. But then when you get to totality and you can take your glasses off, it is a sight you'll never forget.
Yeah.
And I said to a couple people online, I'm like, imagine being a ancient Assyrian and a dude comes and gets sparked out of a well and spit up on your beach, and he comes and tells you got 40 days to repent, and then you see that in the sky.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would be like, okay, let's clean up the bodies and stop doing all the wicked crap we're doing. We're going to repent.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty incredible. So definitely a sight I will never forget as long as I live. What that means, however, we shall see.
Yeah.
But we're going to start off, as we have been the last few weeks, and give you an update on the red heifer, which, hey, that was pretty much it, because there ain't no update. It looks like the next date on the horizon will be what originally everybody predicted was maybe a Passover. Yeah. So we've got, what's the date today? The 14th is when we're recording this. 15th is when you guys will hear it. So we'll have, I guess, a week.
Tax day.
Yeah. Don't forget to file your criminal charges. I mean, your taxes. We were talking upstairs, and it's criminal what's being done to us.
Yes.
And then, dare you go into a higher tax bracket because they're coming for that money.
Oh, man.
They're like, so glad you earned that extra money. How about we take it from you so you don't have to trouble yourself with it?
What's the point of working?
That is a socialistic, actually bordering on communistic society.
That's the way.
What's the point?
What's the point of working if they're going to take it?
What's the point of working, indeed?
It's going to burn anyway.
We're back to that again. Use that refund to get the Lamborghini and buy the donuts. You're funding someone else's Lamborghini this year, buddy.
Yeah.
You ain't getting no Lambo. You can't even afford a tricycle.
No. What's sad is you work so hard and they take it.
I know. It's sick. We were also talking upstairs, because this is one of the things, if you go back and you look through history, this is one of those things that you can clearly see markers along the way now, looking in retrospect, where our founding fathers and our government beyond that should have been told, no, that if you do this, we're going to take arms up against you, but we didn't do it.
Yeah.
And one of them was when they decided to institute the income tax.
Yeah.
Because when they instituted the income tax, the highest percentage, no matter how much you made, right, the highest was 7%. Yeah. And then the low man, like you and I, we wouldn't hardly pay any at all, maybe 1%, if anything.
Yeah.
But not anymore, my friend.
No, it's.
I think probably by the time it's all said and done, we look at these other more socialistic-based countries that have free health care and things like that, and we're like, yeah, but you get taxed. They take all your money. And I'm like, our government takes all of our money, too, and we don't get no free health care for it.
Let's say the gas is taxed.
They just take it. They don't take it all up front like they do in other countries. They're more shystery about it than they in other countries.
Every transaction you have, it's taxed.
Oh, yeah. Like we went out to lunch, taxed.
Yeah.
Boom. I stopped on the way home, got gas, tax.
Yeah.
And then not just federal, but the state has to have theirs now, too, because we can't let the federal government just screw you, and we have to get in there, too.
Yeah. Everybody gets there.
Don't forget to file your criminal charges and taxes. Don't forget to, because it's theft.
It is.
They're stealing from us. And then they do vile things with the money.
Yes, they do.
And what do they even need it for? That's a good question. What do they even need our tax money for if they're just going to print as much as they want anyway?
I don't know.
Why don't you just let us keep our money? If you're just going to print it out of thin air anyway, what do you need it for?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I always said we should have like tax insurrection month, where all of us just go in and file like 10 on our federal taxes. That way nothing comes out and they don't get any money for a month. Actually, we need to do that for a year.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. I'm probably going to get audited now. Oh, come get it. You can't get blood from a turnip. But the IRS agents will probably be armed now.
Yeah, they probably will be.
That's okay. I'm armed too.
Yeah.
Anyway, we better get going before I get myself in trouble. Oh, my goodness. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Not what we're going to talk about today. This is not going to be the tax show, so we'll spare you from that idea if you're already like, oh, my goodness, what are we getting into today? No, I think what we're going to talk about today, once we got through Heifer Watch 2024 and had a quick little talk about the Eclipse, which we didn't really talk about the Eclipse. Pre-planned that one. That just happened on the cuff here. But obviously, I think that today's show really revolves around what's going on in Israel, and then the latest thing with Iran and how all that's now escalating. And this is all just starting to spin out of control. And there are some things that are biblical that are potential prophetic things for this particular time, potentially, that we want to cover and look into some of that. And ultimately, where does this go? Where are we headed? And the ultimate worst case scenario, that could be really bad because we could be potentially looking at nuclear war.
Yeah.
And I know that's an extreme thing. If you really look at all the players here and the escalation that's already starting to happen, it's just, it's a potential down the line. And it's really terrifying that we could actually see this in a kind of a tit for tat deal. And that's some of the biblical prophecy that we're going to focus on today.
I just had a crazy visual in my head.
Yeah, go ahead.
You think, okay, God and the Elohim are playing a Risk game.
Oh, wow.
And we are the Risk board.
We're the last few countries. Yes. It's getting really bad, fighting over the completion of the continent bonus.
Yes, it's getting ready to roll the dice.
I want to be Australia, because I always like starting off in Australia, because you can take the continent and you get that bonus, and you can just slowly march your way out into Asia, and then skulk your way over to the Middle East, and then Africa, and work your way over to South America and up through into North America. Just gave away my risk strategy to everybody.
Mental picture I had in my...
It's funny. I got to sneak the Elohim today in the church.
Yeah, you did.
See that? You did. And I guarantee you nobody even thought about it.
I know.
But we read Psalm 86 today in church, which talks about the other gods. Yes, there are other gods. You can go check out one of our earlier shows for that one. I don't remember which show it was, but it's there. You can go listen. But
was it the Divine Council or Assembly or something like
Assembly or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting so many shows now, Ben. I can't even keep track of what we got anymore.
You know what?
That's a flattering thing.
I'll be honest. I'll probably forget about what we talked like tomorrow, and somebody will say something. I'm like, let me go back and listen so I remember what I said.
Yeah, it's funny. It's weird when you listen to yourself because you were there. So it's weird to listen to yourself after the fact.
And I listen so I know what I said. In case
I said that? Did we really? Yeah. Most of the time when it's fresh, I'm like, yeah, we did say that.
Yeah.
Or if somebody comes really crazy off the wall, I'm like, no, I don't think we would have said that. Where did we say that at? And then I would go back and listen. But try to be accountable to our words.
I ain't. I'm like, if I said it, then I said it.
Yeah. Again, I don't think we said anything that isn't true. We try to uphold God's truth.
Yeah.
And let the chips fall where they will.
Yeah, we do that pretty well.
Yeah, we do. The next thing with this, obviously, nothing on the Heifer Watch front. And then this really, the war is widening. Now, the real question here is, Iran, I love how Iran is like trying to play this like they've been wronged in some way. I mean, granted, they got their consulate bombed, which I have to tell you, if it was somebody else that did that to another country, besides like a superpower in the world, besides the U.S. or an Israel or somebody like that, man, we would be.
Nobody's talking about Mexico and Ecuador.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, Foilers. Ben and I need your support as we continue to work to grow it for God and increase the amount of listeners to the podcast. Here's what you can do to help. Head on over to our website, thetfhc.com, and pick up some swag. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, cups, mugs, posters, truly something for everyone in the family. Also, if you were not able to attend our live stream event on the Book of Enoch, you can still catch the video for rent on our website. The video is packed with information that we promise will forever change the way you view your Bibles. If you have questions after watching or want to reach out to us at any time, be sure to send us an email at thedudes@thetfhc.com. Feeling charitable and want to give to the cause? Consider donating using our Cash App link, which can be found on our website. Last, come and be a part of the TFHC family on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble. And be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share with everyone you think would enjoy the podcast. Thanks to each of you for your love and support. And now, back to the show. Yeah, that's crazy. So the Ecuadorians stormed was it the consulate or the embassy? One of the two.
Yeah, one
in
of the
Mexico.
Two. No, it was Mexico's embassy or consulate in Ecuador.
In Ecuador,
because the outgoing president was seeking asylum.
Oh, so he went into there, and then they're like, "No, we're coming in after you."
And they went in after him.
Well,
that's an act of war too.
That's a no.
But nobody's talking about that because nobody cares.
No, it's like whatever. It's Ecuador and Mexico.
Yeah, really. Nobody cares because there's no oil there. There's no gold there.
Right. It's of no importance to the world. Yeah.
Just like when things happen in Haiti.
They can get mad, throw soccer balls at each other.
And Cuba.
Right. Yeah.
If we really care, if America really cared about
come on.
These countries, they would be helping these people.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't. We just our own interest.
Everyone is a pawn to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, God's going to finally show us, I think, you're not special.
Yeah.
You're not great like you think you are.
Yeah.
Because guarantee you what, you get God mad at you, and it don't matter how powerful you think you are, it's going to bring you down.
Yeah.
Job is a scale that transcends no matter how high or low you want to go with it.
I know.
It can be a person or it can be a country. And it's happened before.
Yeah.
Like you see all these countries that were superpowers in the past, and they're all gone or greatly diminished, never to see their heyday again. Either gone or diminished.
Rome.
Yeah. The list goes on and on. The Greeks.
Yeah.
Again, goes on and on, right? The Mongols.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking over. I want to say the Mongols at one point had like more territory than anyone ever.
Yeah.
I think, if that's right. Gone.
Yeah.
Now they're just a great big, huge strategic space and risk.
Hell yeah.
That you can get into because you can cart a lot of territory with Mongolia, which doesn't even exist anymore. Like Mongolia is even still a country. I don't know. I'm getting out of my depth there of geographically. But now if you look at this, so this goes back to when they bombed the Iranian consulate, right? And I personally think, what's your take on this? I think they did it. I think it was twofold. I think it was strategic because they did get some high value targets when they did that, both of Hamas and Iran. Because listen, let's back up even further. Iran is not innocent in all this because they have long funded Hezbollah and Hamas. So they have funded these organizations, mainly Hezbollah. And they have been, Hezbollah and Hamas, and I think mainly Hezbollah, has been going after all these different ships and stuff, including our ships in the Gulf over there. Yeah. So they're not, Iran is not like some innocent little babe in the woods here.
No.
But then I think what Israel did, I think was twofold. I think it was, we took out some strategic targets, and I think that they wanted to escalate the war.
Yeah.
Personally, I think they did it to do that.
Yeah. And
they got what they wanted.
They punched him in the nose, and it could be a distraction too. Let's go over here, do some stuff.
Yeah.
And while this is happening,
What are we doing in Gaza or something like that? Who knows where else?
Or, like I said, upstairs, maybe distraction for the red heifers.
Yeah, it could be too. Yeah, we talked about that upstairs too.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna do this ceremony at some point.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it. There's no doubt about it. It'll just be interesting to see what's next. Because because let's face it, Iran. I forget. I think I saw. I don't even know how it was 100, something like that. How many different drones, and supposedly they had ballistic missiles, not nuclear tipped ballistic missiles, but like some kind of ballistic missiles that they fired. And the other thing too is we did pull up an article earlier that it was not just from Iran, but they actually shot some of this stuff out of Iraq and Syria as well. So it was not just Iran, because geographically, for those of you that do not know, in order to attack Israel, Iran, if they're firing from Iran, which they did fire some stuff from Iran, it has to go over Iraq, Syria, or Jordan, or both, depending on the target, how it's flying, before it gets to Israel. So they're technically invading a couple other people's airspace.
Yeah.
Right. And Jordan is the poor one stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Like they're right next to Israel. And this got to really not make them feel great about it either. But it says Iran's attack was in response to an Israeli airstrike earlier this month on the building in the Iranian embassy complex in Syria. And so a small portion of the bombardment was launched from Iraq, Syria, and also Yemen, which is down obviously south of Saudi Arabia. So that's the furthest away.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting. But I think Yemen has also been a hub base point for Hezbollah a lot of times, because you got Hamas that's mainly concentrated more in the Gaza area, and then I think up in Damascus.
Yeah.
I could be a little off on that, but that's, you got a couple different players here. So the interesting thing is, what do you think Israel's going to do? I know I was talking to your dad this morning. He doesn't think that they're going to do anything, because they were trying to get, his theory was Israel was trying to get us involved to go after Iran. But we've already come out and said that we don't want any escalation, because that's just what we did.
I'm going to say it. I'm tired. Okay. I'm tired of them fighting. I really am.
Oh, they've been fighting for what? 5,000 years now?
They need just to, not to be like lovey-dovey, but just
kiss and make up.
Seriously. But I know this is all part of prophecy.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And
I hear you. It's just tiring for everybody.
Yeah. And it's been going on since we were kids. Nothing's new. Nothing's changed. Mm-hmm. There'll be peace for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, somebody decides to poke the bear or slap the dog's nose.
It's gone on for decades, and decades. That's funny. Centuries. Decades or millennia. This is centuries.
Then all of a sudden,
or millennia rather.
Everybody's now they're like flexing their muscles.
Yeah.
And if Israel retaliates, they retaliate.
It'll just be interesting to see what they do. I personally think that they're going to do something, because I think they wanted this to happen. I don't think they care what the world thinks either.
No, I don't.
They've made that very clear almost from the get-go.
Yeah.
They don't care if everybody's going to say that shame on you for retaliating against Iran. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. But one of the things you have to say, all in all, to me anyway, this seemed like a pretty flaccid attempt to attack them, because they know that firing all these missiles in hasn't really worked. Because they've got these counter defense systems like the Iron Dome, and then was it the Arrow system or whatever it is that we've helped them with. And they've shot all this stuff down. Like they shot 99% of whatever these things were out of the sky. And this has been going on for months now, right? Because they've been getting missiles lobbed in. They were getting missiles lobbed in before they ever attacked in October. This is not new.
No.
They've had this going on for years.
But I think it's ramped up because of the heifers.
Yeah, I think it very well could be.
Like they said, if they're honest, that's why.
And rizzle, razzle, dazzle, watch what happens here while we go through with this ceremony.
Could be.
Because the government's backed this ceremony. Now we know.
Yeah.
Like the government has actually gotten behind this, and they want this to happen. I don't know. I don't know if it goes that far or not. But I know that it could be bad. And, okay, what is it? What could it ultimately lead to? You get escalated far enough, and where does this stop?
Yeah.
Because Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons.
They've
been working on it that we know of. Yeah, that we know of. But the other thing, too, is they're in league with Russia They're bosom buddies.
Just takes one dirty bomb, though.
Oh, that's exactly right. Which kind of leads us to our prophecy of today, Ben.
Oh,
Here we go. Go ahead.
No, I'll let you go, and I'll.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking about the movie Unthinkable. Have you seen that with Samuel L. Jackson? He's a interrogator, and he's interrogating this terrorist. They were trying to find a dirty bomb in a city in the U.S. So he uses all tactics possible. And
that's not good.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah, I bet it is.
But at the end, all is a bright light.
Oh. No luck, huh?
No luck. Because
delayed it enough.
It was, I don't want to give too much away if somebody hadn't seen it, but I don't know if some people will see it or not. It's
good.
I want to say it's probably about 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, there's another one that's on that line. Sum of All Fears. You ever see that movie?
No.
That was one of the Tom Clancy ones that Ben Affleck took over after Alec Baldwin and Harrison Ford.
Okay.
He was the third Jack Ryan.
Okay.
And that's good. It's a good show. That's got Morgan Freeman. And they wind up detonating a nuclear bomb. Boston area, I want to say. So, yeah, it's a good show. Crazy. But this particular prophecy not only mentions the first one we're going to read. We have two. The first one actually mentions two places in Israel and then one place in Gaza. And we'll break this down. We'll read this and then we'll get into it a little further. So this is actually Zephaniah chapter 2. Okay, so this is one of those lesser, greater prophet areas. Minor prophet, sorry. So Zephaniah 2, we'll pick up in chapter 1. Of course, as always, we're reading from the CJB. Gather together, gather yourselves, nation devoid of shame, before the decree takes effect, and the day comes when one passes like chaff. That's an interesting statement in and of itself. Before Adonai's fierce anger comes on you, before the day of Adonai's anger comes on you. It's interesting. We're repeating that sentence twice almost. Seek Adonai, all you humble in the land, you who exercise his justice. Seek righteousness, seek humility. You might be hidden on the day of Adonai's anger. For Gaza will be abandoned. Ashkelon will be desolate. They will evacuate Ashdod at noon, and Ekron will be uprooted. Woe to the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nation of the Crete, Crete. I'm not sure what that translates to in other versions. The word of Adonai is against you, Canaan, land of Philistin. I will destroy you. No one will be left. The seacoast will be reduced to pastures, meadows for shepherds, pens for sheep, and the coast will belong to the remnant of the house of Judah. So they will pasture their flocks there, and in the evening lie down in the houses of Ashkelon. For Adonai their God will remember them and restore their fortunes. I'm going to pause there because we've now mentioned those three places. We talked about how Gaza would be basically desolate. Okay, Gaza will be abandoned, which we've got. Check that off. Now, I'm going to preface by saying this. I am not versed enough in my history to tell you if this has already happened or not in the past. However, I would think that a lot of things in the minor prophets or any of these prophetic things, a lot of times they are talking about the end times.
Yeah.
And I think this is very curious how we could potentially be doing that in this particular case. So we've seen Gaza. Gaza has now been basically reduced to nothing, and it's been abandoned for the most part, at least the vast majority of it. Now, when you go look on a map, some of these cities that we have mentioned or towns are not familiar to people. Ashkelon and Ashdod. These are the two cities or towns that are closest to Gaza on the coast. I believe that some of these towns were actually targets when they actually went in October because they were so geographically close to Gaza.
Yeah.
It even talks about how Ashkelon will be desolate and then Ashdod will be evacuated at noon.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's a very specific thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I am not good enough to tell you, hey, here's what this is or when this is going to happen, because I just find it interesting that these things are happening. Now, the second prophecy that we're going to get into is actually in Isaiah. It's Isaiah chapter 17, and this is a prophecy about Damascus. Now, Damascus is where they just bombed the consulate. Okay, in Syria, they bombed. Israel bombed the Iranian consulate. This was in Damascus. Damascus is in Syria. Syria is due north of Israel. A lot of the attacks and a lot of the missiles from the northern part of Israel have come from Damascus, and Israel has already responded multiple times by bombing various different places in Damascus. One of the main ones, the first ones they bombed, was the airport there. All right. So this is Isaiah 17, and again, we'll start in verse 1. This is a prophecy about Damascus. Damascus will soon stop being a city. It will become a heap of ruins. The cities of Aroer will be abandoned, given over to flocks lying down undisturbed. Ephraim will have no defenses. Damascus will cease to rule, and Aram survivors will share the fate of Israel's finest sons, says Adonai Zevot. When that day comes, Yaakov's glory will wane and his full body will grow thin. Jacob's body. That's what we're translating that to. As when the harvester collects the standing grain, reaping the ears of grain with his arm. Yes, as when they glean the grain in the Rephaim valley. Yet gleanings will be left, and when the beating, as when beating an olive tree, 2 or 3 olives at the very top, 4 or 5 on its fruitful branches, saith Adonai, the God of Israel. On that day, a person will heed his maker and turn his eyes toward the Holy One of Israel. He will pay no heed to the altars made with his own hands. He will not turn toward what his fingers made, the sacred poles and standing stones for sun worship. When that day comes, his strong cities, which others abandoned when Israel advanced, will be like abandoned woods and forests. They will be laid waste. For you have forgotten the God who saved you, failed to remember the rock of your strength, so you plant pagan-style gardens and set out vine cuttings for a foreign god. So there you go. It does not look good.
No, it doesn't. I was just looking on my map in the back of my Bible of how far apart these places are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're getting attacked pretty much on 2 fronts.
Yeah.
3 really now, because they've got everything going on down in Gaza, and that would be the southern part, technically southwestern portion of the country. And then the northern part of the country is Damascus, or would be where we're getting attacked from, would be Damascus.
Yeah.
And we know that because Paul was on what road when he got blinded and converted? He was on the Damascus road.
Yeah.
These places are long known to these people, very ancient, the most ancient we have. And now we've got a third front. Technically, probably a couple more fronts, because if they're getting attacked from places in Syria, and they're getting attacked from places in Yemen, and they're getting attacked from places in Iraq and Iran, they have pretty much everybody over there except for Jordan that is going out for them.
Yeah.
All of the surrounding companies, with the exception of Jordan, are gunning for them.
Isn't it crazy?
And they're poking the bear with them.
Yeah.
Because you know that, like, that could be. So this is the part where we postulate what could happen next.
Wouldn't be the Samson option.
Which would be?
Nukes.
You nuke them? Yeah, because here's the thing. Okay, so we know now, we just saw, they've been attacked from these other countries too. Are they going to do something to these other countries? Are they going to attack these sites? Because I would bet you bottom dollar they knew where these missiles came from.
Yeah.
In some of these other countries.
Yeah.
So are they going to go and attack Syria now? Are they going to go and bomb someplace in Iraq? Are they going to go? They're probably going to bomb something in Iran. That's probably a foregone conclusion. And are they going to bomb something in Syria and lob something over Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
So now they're going to make everybody over there mad, right? And what does the Bible tell us? It says all of their neighbors are going to turn against them.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Because then Jordan's going to get stuck in the middle, and then Jordan's going to basically get put in a spot of, are you with us or against us?
Yeah.
Are you with us or with them?
Yeah. And it'll be like, they'll be like the little country, because they're a pretty small country. Do they just get ran over?
Yeah, seriously. See, now they control part of the West Bank. So like where the Dome of the Rock is and all that stuff, they control a lot of that stuff over there.
Yeah.
So, they're in a sticky spot. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Jordan. They're not in a good spot. You escalate this to a certain point, and then, okay, so Israel retaliates and they attack these places. First of all, what will be the response of the world? I would say probably mass condemnation. I don't know. This is just, you're going to continue to escalate this, right? Just going to get ramped up a notch, ramped up a notch, ramped up a notch. Eventually you run out of notches.
Yeah, I could see the world getting mad at Israel for retaliating against them.
Yeah, because I think Biden came out and said if they retaliate against Iran, he won't stand with them.
And he stand anyway.
It's putting him in a bad spot.
Oh.
It's a Biden pudding joke. Oh, my. I don't think they care what he says. They know he's not going to be here in a few months anyway.
Yeah.
He's already not here cognitively, so
No.
what do they care? He's going to get voted out of office. If he gets reelected, then, dude, we're going to have our own problems because this place is going to tear itself apart.
Yeah.
Besides, if we get judged in 40 days, none of this will matter anyway.
That's right.
We're going to have our own problems. That's an interesting thing, too, to talk about. So let's talk about that. And again, it's just speculation. We're not saying it's going to happen, but let's say what we have postulated comes to pass, right? And we have massive earthquakes, right? We have this massive ecological and natural disasters that happen here on a massive scale, right? You get all these earthquakes in these various places, right? You can think we get what we have talked about potentially having, okay, where we were warned, where the eclipses have gone over. We get these to happen. What that will do to us to bring us to our knees. And one of the other things that I think would happen from that would be the recalling of a lot of our military home.
Yeah.
To come and deal with things.
Yeah.
Right? If we do that, especially from over there, their enemies are going to be foaming at the mouth at that, right? Because now we don't have carriers sitting over there anymore, potentially, and all these other things that can launch rockets, and that leaves them really vulnerable. And then their enemies are going to think this is prime time. We got to get this done.
Oh, yeah.
So you could see how things could easily just devolve into madness in this world.
Oh, yeah.
And it fits perfectly with some of the things that we have read week after week now in Matthew 24 and Luke 21, all these different things. Yeah. So
I don't want to say I want it to happen because I don't, but just being somebody that's here lately, a lot of things I've talked about have been right. It's scary.
Do you want to know, do you feel like you want to see it happen? That way you at least know where you are? Why do you think that, or is it just like human morbid fascination with the world?
I want to know where I'm at.
Yeah, like biblically speaking?
Yeah.
I think it's probably a couple fold, right? Am I crazy? Am I a crazy am I a crazy person? Which we know we're not crazy people. Am I off here? And then once I confirm that I'm not off, I know where I am biblically speaking.
Yeah.
Because let's play this out. So if these things happen, we know from that point that we're on a timeline.
Yeah. Even come the 22nd, we're on a timeline.
You're saying if they sacrifice the heifers?
Yeah. We're on a timeline that essentially can't be stopped.
Yeah. Do you think they'll wipe off the Temple Mount if this escalates? Do you think they'll wipe the Temple Mount off and rebuild the temple on the Temple Mount?
I don't know. That temple gets like split in two. That mountain gets split in two.
The Mount of Olives does.
Yeah.
Due east of the Temple Mount.
Okay.
You're talking again. Is that Zephaniah as well? Zechariah, Zephaniah. I get the two.
Also in Revelation, where the earthquake will split the mountain in two.
I think that's in Zephaniah.
And it splits Israel into three places.
Oh yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I do remember that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's the next thing, but I'm saying
down the line.
Yeah, down the line.
When we get further in, it's Zechariah. So not what were we just reading from?
Zephaniah.
We were reading from Zephaniah. The other Z dude.
Yeah.
Zechariah. This is what Ben is referencing is Zechariah 14:4. And it says, on that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which lies to the east of Jerusalem. And the Mount of Olives will be split in half from east to west to make a huge valley. Half of the mountain will move toward the north and half of it toward the south.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where they're going to, where the things will get thrown into?
You mean to the bottomless pit?
Yeah, like some of the things we talked about in maybe Enoch.
Yeah,
You think maybe?
maybe.
Could be.
Because wouldn't it be close to Gehenna?
It would be, yeah, I think Gehenna is
No, why not?
due south of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Zechariah 14 is not a it's not a pretty picture.
No.
So here's Zechariah 14, verse 1. Look, a day is coming for Adonai when you're plundered. Jerusalem will be divided right there within you, for I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem for war. The city will be taken, the houses will be rifled, the women will be raped, and half the city will go into exile. But the rest of the people will not be cut off from the city. Then Adonai will go out and fight against those nations, fighting as on a day of battle. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which lies to the east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in half from east to west to make a huge valley. Half of the mountain will move toward the north, and half of it toward the south. You will flee to the valley in the mountains, for the valley in the mountains will reach to Atzel. You will flee just as you fled before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And then Adonai, my God, will come to you with all the holy ones. On that day there will be neither bright light nor thick darkness, and one day known to Adonai will be neither day nor night, although by evening there will be light. On that day fresh water will flow out of Jerusalem, half toward the eastern sea and half toward the western sea, both summer and winter. Then Adonai will be king over the whole world. On that day, Adonai will be the only one, and his name will be the only name. So there you go.
Yeah.
Bright, cheery futures ahead, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, it just goes to show you how bad this could get.
Yeah, and only God, or only Adonai. It's only him, not the other 70.
No. The ones bound to themselves for Gehenna.
Yeah. The other Elohim.
Elohim. You're getting better on your Elohim.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is pretty wicked, man. So what do you think? What do you think that they'll do? What do you think Israel's going to do in response? If you had to guess. Who knows anymore?
I don't want to say I don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's, oh, wow, they launched more missiles. Like, innocent people are dying on both sides. Really. I mean.
I forgot what we're up to in Gaza.
Yeah. Yeah, like how many innocents?
I think it's at least a 10-1.
Yeah.
It's been tenfold for the residents of Gaza.
Yeah, is that innocence versus what's going on?
The estimates are over 25,000.
So that would be almost a 10-1.
How many did how many did they lose on October? Were they at 2,500?
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere in there. So it's at least probably 10-1. And with no end in sight.
Yeah. I mean, is that right too?
I think it's all heartbreakingly sad. Like we were talking upstairs, and just because you're Israel doesn't mean you get a hall pass to do bad things.
Yeah.
I'm like, God is hurt by all of it. I'm like, granted, he has a special place for his people, no doubt about it. His people aren't just Israel anymore.
Yeah.
We're his people too. Gentile and Jew alike.
Yeah.
God's never going to be okay with the death of a child.
No, he won't be.
Granted, you have some people would come back at that and go, oh, really? What about when David was going through and killing off women and children, and he was telling all the leaders to go in and kill everybody off? No. Different story.
Yeah.
Completely different. A lot of those people were not written in the book of life at all.
Yeah.
Because they had been made in falsity because of some kind of genetic interference, Nephilim interference.
Yeah.
Right? They're giants. They're Rephaim.
Yeah.
So they're
cone heads. 6 fingers, 6 toes, 2 rows of teeth.
Yeah, 14 toes.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So, but when we talk about this, we almost glorify the nuclear war thing. And I don't think people really realize what this looks like. When you go back and you actually look at the atomic bombings that happened in like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all total, what they say the bombings killed between 129,000 and 226,000 people.
Yeah. You'd think it'd be more than that. That's a lot.
That's just, who knows, right? Like the genetic
Oh, yeah.
mutations over time and later cancers and all these things. Like, who knows, right? And they estimate in Hiroshima alone between 70 and 126,000 civilians were killed.
Yeah.
And then 7,000 to 20,000 soldiers.
So that's almost 10 to 1 there, too.
Yeah. Compared to like civilians versus soldiers. Yeah. And then in Nagasaki, it was even worse because Nagasaki was not supposed to be the primary target.
Yeah.
It was wound up being a secondary target because the primary target was actually had too much cloud cover. They couldn't see where to drop the bomb.
Yeah.
So then they went to the secondary target, which was Nagasaki. And it says between 60 and 80,000 people were killed there and only like 150 soldiers.
Yeah. That's all innocent people.
Yeah. So it's all civilians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So put this in perspective, right? Because we've got this pulled up because I think it's important to talk about this, right? What this could really look like. So in Ashkelon, we'll start with Ashdod.
Okay.
So Ashdod has a population total of 226,000 people.
Okay.
All right. And in a fairly concentrated area.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, Ashkelon, which is the other coastal city in Israel, has a population of 153,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Damascus, on the other hand, has a population of over 2 million people. Okay. The other thing, too, that we know for sure is the nuclear bombs that we have nowadays, especially if utilized from like in Israel, if Israel decides at some point they want to nuke somebody, are not measured. They're much, much more powerful. Like the atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki pale in comparison to what we have today.
Yeah.
Right. So the one that was dropped on Hiroshima was the one they called Little Boy.
Yeah.
So that one was made of uranium. That was a uranium nuclear bomb that had the explosive force of 15,000 tons of TNT, 15 kilotons. All right. We don't even measure a lot of these in kilotons anymore.
Oh, yeah.
They're measured in megatons, right?
Yeah.
So 1 million tons of TNT.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is, you know?
Incredibly destructive.
Yeah. I mean,
now they have tactical nukes because more than likely too, like we got up, it was getting ridiculous during the Cold War. I think our Ivy Mike test, which was the biggest one that the U.S. did, was like 50 megatons or something like that. And then the Tsar-Bomba that Russia did up in Siberia was like 250.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous number. I mean, like it was just inhumanly big.
Yeah. And that would be all subjective if it works too. Dropping there are a lot of duds too.
Sorry. I apologize. I was wrong. 50 to 58 megatons, according to Tsar-Bomba. That was the largest one.
Okay. What happens if they drop it and it doesn't go off?
Oh, that's fun.
That happens.
Who gets to be the bomb disposal guy on that job?
Nobody thinks about that.
No, you don't. And let's just see what the typical yield of a tactical nuke is here.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
Couple 100 tons? I don't know.
So what'd I say? The one in Fat Man, Little Boy that we dropped on Hiroshima was 15 kilotons. Fat Man that we dropped on, now that was plutonium bomb that we dropped a couple days later on Nagasaki, Nagasaki was 21 kilotons. So it was actually a bigger bomb, but I think that was a less populated area. That's why it didn't do as much damage.
See, I don't know the difference between plutonium and whatever.
I think the plutonium one was maybe more bang boom. They were two different types too, like how they were detonated.
One was a magnum load and one was
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Self-defense load.
So a tactical nuke that a lot of the countries would use now can range anywhere between 1 and 50 kilotons.
Wow.
So you could potentially on the high end have double what we did in Nagasaki.
Wow.
On the low end, it could be less.
But still.
Oh, yeah. But see, the thing too is you drop that in a highly concentrated area and the destruction is incredible.
Yeah. And they don't even go off before they go off in the atmosphere, don't they?
They typically do detonate not on the ground. They detonate above at a certain altitude.
Yeah.
They'll have I think they have an altimeter put in there where they detonate at a certain altitude because it maximizes the damage.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's all death math, man.
I know.
But you start having people that throw these things around. Dirty bomb is different because a lot of these bombs, you're going to get radiation, but it's more designed for destructive force.
Yeah.
Whereas a dirty bomb is going to be radiation, not the wazoo.
Yeah.
So one of the things that always comes back to me is what was it, Ashdod or Ashkelon? I think it was Ashkelon is going to be emptied at noon.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's a very specific timeline.
Yeah. So if something goes on at noon, that prophecy is done.
Yeah. See, now, so the other thing too is that when you look at around a lot of the language around these, is talking about when the Philistines were in this area, right?
Yeah.
So have these things already happened, or is this kind of again, God layering, a layer cake, right? This is going to happen not only to the Philistines, but it's going to happen again. Because when we look at everything we've talked about with the prophecy, it's very layered, right?
Yeah.
Christ talking in Matthew 24, he's talking about what's going to happen in 70 AD, and he's also talking about what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Or at the end, if now is the end. I believe it is. Getting near there anyway.
If not, I hope it's a big reprieve and we don't have to worry for a few hundred years.
Well, yeah, I'd like for our kids to be able to have kids and us to have grandkids, and
I don't know if I want grandkids.
just because of all what could be.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian and I've talked about that too. That's sad, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah, we have really weird discussions now.
Yeah, we do.
We will continue. We continue, and everybody should. Not saying that you shouldn't. We continue to live our lives, but I will say something that's very normal in future thinking.
Yeah.
Or she will, and we'll just look at each other afterwards. Is that really going to happen?
Yeah.
Are we really going to be able to get there?
Yeah, I know.
Because the fact of the matter is, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, you could think that we are two of the looniest, nuttiest people in the world. If you have any thought of at all in your head to be able to look at things for what they are, anybody with any brain cells banging together in their head can look at everything that's going on and realize this is not a sustainable path that we're on.
Yeah.
In the world.
I know.
It's not sustainable. This ship is going to crash, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
If we don't change course and trajectory.
That's true.
It's just not possible. You can't have all of these things going on and not eventually come to the very things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I know this. It reminded me, I had a dream last night. I don't know if it's a metaphor or what have you, but I was dreaming that we were driving a vehicle up a mountain and it was raining and we barely made it up the mountain. And it was like, I didn't feel like we weren't. I wasn't scared in the dream that we weren't going to make it up the mountain. It was just like, I know we can do this. It's just going to take some time because we kept sliding and slipping and everything. But once when we got to the top, it was a little bit better. And then I woke up.
Couple that with your wife's dream that we had a couple weeks ago on the show.
Yeah.
You're going to get to the top just to get put in a concentration camp.
I didn't feel like that, though. Thanks a lot, man. Makes me feel better.
Sorry. Hey, it's better than my wife's dream. She's dreaming of us getting nuked next year. That's an interesting thing that we've talked about several times because she's always thought that meant April 25th, and we don't think that anymore.
Yeah.
We think it means April of 2025.
Yeah, it could be.
I hope she's wrong. We both hope she's wrong.
Yeah, it could be. You never know.
Never know.
Yeah.
How much of what we were given in dreams is prophecy and how much is just our brains taking a mishmash, a stew of things we've seen and watched and experienced and talked about and everything else, and it just takes it all and throws it in the pot.
Yeah, it does.
You never know, right?
Yeah.
Some things stick with us more than others, though.
It does.
I don't know. Hard to distinguish what's what sometimes.
I was also thinking about in Revelation where it was talking about when it's later on where the woman, I think it represents Israel, goes out to the desert and she's followed, I think it's the dragon or something.
Oh, yeah. She's for 120 days or something like that.
And I've often wondered about that as well. What is that Israel today? And I said there was a great flood. And I think it was like an eagle came and got her or helped her in the wilderness or something like that. I don't know if you pulled that up or not.
No, but I can.
So I know I'm not going crazy.
We're both pretty tired.
Yeah.
Hey, this is probably one of those shows where you're not getting the freshest Kyle and Ben.
We had a big lunch.
We're both pretty dragging. Yeah, we had some delicious Mexican food for lunch.
But I was just thinking about that. Is that be some help from a country?
No, that's interesting. I don't know. Possibly. I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah. Because if let's say they use nukes and somebody else used nukes and then it gets flooded.
I think this is what you're talking about. Revelation 12. Now a great sign was seen in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, under her feet the moon, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and about to give birth, and she screamed in the agony of labor. Another sign was seen in the heaven. There was a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads were 7 royal crowns. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of heaven and threw them down to the earth. It stood in front of the woman about to give birth, so that it might devour the child the moment it was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, the one who will rule all the nations with a staff of iron. But her child was snatched up to God and his throne, and she fled into the desert. Now, clearly what we're talking about is, I would think, Jesus, right?
Yeah.
She fled into the desert where she has prepared a place by God so that she can be taken care of for 1,260 days. Next, there was a battle in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But it was not strong enough to win, so that there was no longer any place for them in heaven. The great dragon was thrown out, that ancient serpent, also known as the devil or Satan, the adversary. Ooh, controversy in the CJB. The deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled down to the earth, and his angels were hurled down with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, "Now have come God's victory, power, and kingship, and the authority of his Messiah. And because the accuser of our brothers, who accuses them day and night before God, has been thrown out, they defeated him because of the Lamb's blood and because of the message of their witness. Even when facing death, they did not cling to life. Therefore rejoice, heaven, and you who live there. But woe to you, land and sea, for the adversary has come down to you, and he is very angry because he knows that his time is short." When the dragon saw that he had been hurled down to the earth, he went in pursuit of the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given the 2 wings of the great eagle, so that she could fly to her place in the desert, where she is taken care of for a season and 2 seasons and half a season, away from the serpent's presence. The serpent spewed water like a river out of its mouth after the woman in order to sweep her away in the flood. But the land came to her rescue. It opened its mouth and swallowed up the river which the dragon had spewed out of its mouth. The dragon was infuriated over the woman and went off to fight the rest of her children, those who obey God's commands and bear witness to Yeshua. Then the dragon stood on the seashore, and I saw a beast come out of the sea. Now we've moved on to chapter 13. With 10 horns and 7 heads. On its horns were 10 royal crowns, and on its heads blasphemous names. The beast which I saw was like a leopard, but with feet like those of a bear and a mouth like mouth of a lion. And it gave the dragon its power, its throne, and great authority. I pause there because we've traveled past.
No, but I was just thinking about that. We know that the star, that's Mary, giving birth to Jesus. So that's the account of Christ's birth. You can go back in Stellarium and find out the day. And Michael Heiser said it was September 11th, -2 BC.
Interesting.
Yeah.
-2 BC.
Yeah.
And he was crucified when? That would make it 31 BC? Or 31 AD?
Yeah.
Was he 33 when he was crucified?
Yeah.
Do we know that for sure?
I don't know. Because I think they go by, if he was 0.
Which there is no 0 because you go 1 BC and then 1 AD. You skip over 0.
And for those of you that like Michael Heiser or don't like Michael Heiser, there's
Michael Heiser.
Yeah, he's...
If there's one person I wish we could interview on this show, it'd be Michael Heiser.
Yeah, he was very interesting.
I'd love to interview that guy, but unfortunately he's passed on. Someday we'll talk Michael.
Yeah, he moved on to his reward.
Amen.
But yeah, I know that, but like I was just thinking about with all of this is going on and Israel is going to need to escape real quickly. And what better way to escape than through the wilderness and desert? And
yeah. I don't know. See, I read the first part of that and the second part of that. I'm like, I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out. So a wiser man than I would have to tell me what all that means.
We could all speculate.
Yeah, see, what's interesting, the 1,260 days, I would think that 1,260 days would actually probably be years. A lot of time that's used as years, but maybe not. So with that 1,260 days, we would put that from the time of Christ, his death, right? So 31 AD, and you move forward 1,260. That puts us at what, 1,293?
What was going on then?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting dig. So, and then it says, and then next there was a battle in heaven.
Yeah.
So Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fall back, and he got thrown out.
Now is this? Obviously, he's been thrown out multiple times through Scripture. If you just sit down and read your Bible, how many times has it been thrown out? Honestly, just not putting any knowledge. Oh, he's been thrown out, but just reading it. How many times?
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the other things too, when you do get into some of these extra biblical texts and you start talking about this, is he's not the only adversary.
No,
there's multiple.
Yeah,
that's like you and I were going back through Enoch, looking at I think a little bit different things. But one of the things that I was studying this week was the parable section, which is really section 2 after you go through the book of the Watchers. Right? Yeah, and one of the things that's mentioned, a couple different verses in there where it clearly says adversaries.
Yeah.
Satans, multiple.
Yeah.
There isn't just one. There's multiple Satans, which I tend to think that the Satan in Job is not the Satan that we referenced today.
Yeah.
I think it might be somebody different.
Could it be Mastema?
See, that's what I kind of wonder.
So we're getting into all kinds of stuff right now.
We're getting into all kinds of stuff, which the name Mastema you will not find in your Bible, but you will find in Jubilees.
Yeah. And
clearly this individual is not, it's a very interesting read because it's like, is this entity a bad entity? Is he doing what God designed him to do?
Because he's also, isn't he the death angel too?
He's the slaughterer, yeah.
Death angel.
In our CJBs, it actually uses the term the slaughterer.
Yeah. And
he is the one that God allowed to go through and kill all the firstborn.
On Passover.
On Passover. Yes. He was the one that pursued, got really into Pharaoh and had him pursue the Israelites out of Egypt as well. The one that I think it also talks about him being there present when Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. And it says he was put to shame. I think that's the instance where it said he was put to shame.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's something that, again, that when you go to church, if you dare to mention that there's more than one God, that'll get people really ruffled.
But they're not gods.
They're not God. They're when we talk Elohims, they're little g, not big G. Yeah. There's only one big G. It's monotheistic God, because they're like, oh my gosh, you're engaging in polytheism with that talk. No, there's one God, one big G God, but there are smaller little g gods.
Yes.
That's who the original people were given over to when they refused to follow God.
In Deuteronomy.
Yes. And then you have God who takes Israel as his part, as his portion, and turns all the rest of them over to their little g gods. And that's how you wind up with all kinds of these other wackadoodle gods that are out there.
God was like, I can use Abraham. You got you 70 or whatever. You're on your own.
Yeah, exactly. But then I think they were also told that they needed to be good. Yeah. They needed to be good rulers over us, and they weren't.
No.
And they did all kinds of vile and wicked things, and that's why they are now going to be punished the same as anybody else that...
I think it's Psalms 82.
I think is it 82 or 86? We read a little bit today in 86 where it talks about the other gods.
I think this is 82 where it says they will die like humans.
Yeah, that one really gets into the whole concept of...
we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we have. It's one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah.
The Assembly of God or something like that.
Yeah.
The Great Assembly or something. So you can go listen to that episode.
Yeah.
Learn more about it if you're interested.
But I think that these guys are in charge right now too.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And it's not Israel versus the other countries. It's Elohim versus Elohim. And he's using people as the pawns. And I think people need to realize that. It's not... We don't hate the people over there, and hopefully they don't hate us. But when a principalities or powers unseen is doing, innocence is going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to see that this is a powder keg.
Yeah.
All of the things in the world are a powder keg because we really only focused on the area right there. But you've got other people at play here too, where you've got Russia and Ukraine and North Korea and China and all these things, Taiwan, where this world is a powder keg right now.
Yeah.
Just itching for World War III.
And it's crazy.
It's biblical prophecy.
In my mind, how I view the world as you zoom out and it just looks like there's a big dark cloud around the world and just looks like a pig pen, I guess.
Yeah.
Just all
like from Charlie Brown. He's got the funk hanging off of him.
Yeah, that's to me, that's mentally what I get.
Now that makes a lot of sense because that's where we are, man.
And it's just shaking. And like yesterday I was working out and my arms my arms were shaking really bad.
Yeah, you burn them up.
And I was like just standing still and I was quivering. And I'm like, that's how I think view the world. It's just dark cloud shaking internally, ready to just go.
Yep. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to me because we really have touched upon the beginning stages of this back in February. I just looked before we got started, which was our The Brink of War, whatever the episode was. I'm terrible today about telling you which episodes to go listen to of our own show, but we talked about this, and it's going almost identical to what we talked about, how this was going to be potentially a powder keg for stuff. I think some of these same verses we referenced, and it just it's all escalating and getting closer to that. This is just more of an escalation of that episode continuing to get closer. Yeah. And it's going to continue to get closer still if nothing changes. And what's the catalyst for change?
Who do you think is going to be the first?
I think it could be Israel. Because you got to think, what thing could they do that would receive the most condemnation?
Yeah.
The only other thing that I think that they could do that would receive the most condemnation, and this fits to a T with what we've talked about, is they do go on and they wipe out the Dome of the Rock and the Alaska Mosque. They wipe the whole Temple Mount clean.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would do?
Oh, yeah.
Because every Muslim in the world is going to be just beside themselves if they did that. And then there's Muslims in practically every country. The countries are going to be like, they're going to condemn Israel. I don't think they're going to nuke it because that didn't make sense because they got to build their own stuff back on there. They're not going to nuke Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing they could do.
Or could it be the sacrifice if they do the heifers?
No, I don't think so. Because I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's not a big enough thing. It's not a big enough thing. That's a local thing, right? That's not a big enough thing to get the world to turn against them. I think that's a big enough thing to get the local extremist, like when some of the countries maybe a little bit more dialed up, but not like to the level. But I think it could be the escalation and it will definitely escalate things.
Yeah.
It will escalate things because that is going to allow, because if you're like, if you're Hamas, right, and you've got the Dome of the Rock as your insignia on your little logo, which is insane that terrorist organizations have logos too. Exactly. What better way to recruit than to go, see, told you. The next step is they're going to wipe out the Dome of the Rock. They did this. They want to rebuild the temple. They want the Temple Mount back. You're going to recruit more people.
Yeah.
So then you're going to increase terrorism, right? Because you're going to get more recruits. And things just there's no way forward that I see, no matter which road we go down, that this doesn't end with escalation.
Yeah.
And I think it's very possible that Israel is the first one to push the button and nuke somebody. I think it'll be a tactical nuke.
Yeah, it would have to be.
But you got to think, and the most likely target, based on what we read biblically, is Damascus.
Yeah.
They
get everybody up there, and then they can do whatever they want down there.
It's been an invasion point. They just launched missiles out of there. it's all bad, man.
So
it's not good.
they waste that, then the cities, and then the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah. The other one that is in there too is Lebanon. Because they're literally due north of it. Lebanon is due north of Israel, yeah.
Not the one here.
No. They only have high-priced booze and really good tacos. I digress. But no, I think that they could very well nuke Syria. It's right there. It's been a source of continued pain points. I don't know if any of these missiles came from Damascus.
Yeah.
They don't have to sail a missile over anybody's territory to get to it.
No.
It's literally right there. It's like right there.
Yeah, it is.
So, and again, that would fulfill prophecy that we see. And that was Zechariah, Zephaniah. I am terrible.
Zephaniah.
I can never remember which one is which. Yes, Zephaniah. No, that prophecy of Damascus was actually in Isaiah.
Okay.
That one was Isaiah. The one in Zephaniah was actually about Ashdod, Ashkelon, and Gaza.
Okay.
It's hard to keep track of them.
Yeah.
That's why we put this down on recording, and we reference the chapter, verse, and book.
That's right.
So that you guys can go look for yourselves. And please do not take Ben's word for it or Kyle's word for it. Go read. Please get into God's word, because you need to get into God's word right now.
Yeah, don't take my word, because I could say something totally wrong. And I'm sure I have.
Hey, we both have. I misspoke. Yields of bombs. That I misspoke about how destructive.
How can we know that?
How horrible.
What? Okay. I think I've brought this up. I know this. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on right now.
You should. You should have it on for the whole show. How dare you take that off for our show?
I think I called you and we discussed this. I don't know if we discussed this on the show or not, but what if they have some sort of weapon that is supernatural and they use Israel instead of a nuke?
Oh, that Israel uses?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go really fully with this. Are you talking about the Ark?
Possibly.
That would be the only thing that I would think that they could have. We've talked about this before, because, like, technically, in order to have the temple, you gotta have the Ark of the Covenant, don't you?
Yeah.
So they seem awful hot to get a heifer taken care of so that they can do all the things they need to rebuild the temple. Yeah. But what you going to do about the Ark?
Well, they have the instrument.
They could.
I'm just.
But I would think that for them, because, okay, so just for a quick history lesson, the people that want to do this believe in like the first several books of the Bible, the same as we do. Yeah. They read the same book. They read the same Bible. Okay. The only difference is they do not believe that the Messiah has come yet.
Yeah.
That's why they want to do this, because they think if they rebuild the temple, then their Messiah is going to come. But they still read it the same way we do. So they see all the things that need to take place in order for this to be done properly. Like, you sacrifice the red heifers on the Mount of Olives, you face it east while you're doing it towards where the Temple Mount would be. And then you rebuild the temple. But in order to have the temple complete, you have to have the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. And I think the Ark of the Covenant is so clearly instructed what you can do and you can't do. I don't think that they would build another one.
I'm just
personally, could be wrong.
I don't either, but I'm just throwing that out there because they're missing the mark right now still.
Yeah. And so you speculated before too that you think they might have it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's somewhere in the Bible too that it talks about never to be seen again. And I think it's Revelation 2 where it talks about it being opened in heaven.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a weird one. We're going to have to find out how this plays out.
Yeah.
But they're going to do this.
But why couldn't it be a supernatural weapon that just wipes everything out?
Hey, you know what? I'm like, if God, there was a lot of things we just read where God was like, I'm going to make you go away.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you out.
And God really likes to use I think
he likes to more than that I think I found is he likes to use things that are already in place.
Yeah.
Because he created it all anyway.
Yeah.
If he truly is using the eclipse to tell us, hey, you got 40 days to clean up your act or I'm going to destroy you. He set that in motion when he created everything.
Yeah.
That's his creation. So he's just using what's already naturally occurring in science as a warning for us because he knew that at this particular time.
Wait, the eclipse is science?
No. What?
Huh.
Yeah, they actually got that right. Crazy.
Wow.
I know. Science isn't all bad. Just certain sciences that are bad. Mm-hmm. Depends on where the science comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a warning. The eclipse.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think, okay, I know when the tsunamis hit, a lot of people died and they were like, where was God in that? That's judgment.
It's naturally occurring. So I think some things, just bad things happen.
And, okay.
Who knows what that, like if there's something that needed judged or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we tend to do that. We want to blame God.
Never really think why he did it.
Yeah, but who knows?
And everybody thinks if he's so loving, why doesn't obviously things are still in motion.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Derek Gilbert talk about something this past week. And he was talking about like the tribes and the things that still keep the dead bodies. That is a form of a worship of one of the fallen gods. And he said, that's wrong. And a lot of those places that did that, they were judged.
Magically gone away with?
Yes. The tsunami.
I don't know. And I think sometimes bad things just happen.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world.
I'm not putting words in Derek Gilbert's mouth.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
If Derek, he did. Don't let him try to get out of it now.
Yeah.
Which we're very excited to say. Hopefully we have a date scheduled for Mr. Gilbert to actually come on our show and talk to us. So that'll be fantastic. He's got a new book getting ready to come out.
Yeah.
And we look forward to talking with him here soon.
I wasn't trying to bring that up.
Yeah. Thanks for the fastball. I'll go ahead and swing the bat.
Yeah.
Good job, Ben. No, but that's a good time to bring it up because I think it's exciting for our audience.
Yeah.
Exciting for us, I know. And definitely exciting for our audience. We've got another couple guests lined up.
Yeah.
And that'll be awesome to talk to. So we're not going to turn this into a constant interview session show, but we would like to mix some of that in. We've always talked about that. So it'll be fascinating to talk to some of our guests. And it's amazing to me how some of these interview timings are lining up.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're supposed to talk to Derek 2 days after Passover.
Yeah.
And it'll be fascinating to see where we are.
Yeah.
Which is insane because literally we're talking next week.
Yeah.
It'll be not this week, this coming week. It'll be the week after this coming week.
Yeah.
So that's going to be Passover. But yeah.
Next Monday is Passover, the 22nd.
Yeah. A week from Monday.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Derek a week from this coming Wednesday.
Yeah.
It'll be fascinating to see if we've got sacrificed cows by then and what's going on.
Yeah.
And then we have another guest that we're going to have on that is very versed in a lot of end times prophecy and the coming Jubilee.
Yeah.
That we're going to have in April of next year.
Yeah.
In 25.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, that when you look at the timing of things, so when you look at all the last few episodes we've done and you start throwing it together into the stew, I can see this path potentially of what could happen. I am not a prophet. I am not a prophet. I can only try to read the signs that are put before me, right? But if you look, imagine if we have all of these things that we've talked about. Okay, we have all of the earthquakes and natural disasters, and we recall everybody, and the things just explode overseas, and things go crazy. And we are really in a place where we're weakened. What a fantastic time for our enemies to attack us.
Yeah.
While we're down on our knees, trying to pick ourselves back up from massive natural disasters. And then so in April 25, attack might be prophetic.
I was thinking, I know we've said this quite a bit, Daniel. How blessed will be anyone who waits and arrives at the 1335 day.
Yeah. So we've talked about what that could mean before too.
Yeah. How blessed that is. So if this is us, we're blessed, right?
Yeah. If you like, is that you've survived?
Yeah.
Because 2027, that would, if you go look at the math of that, the way that it could potentially be from Daniel 12 that you just read, could put us at 2027.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen in 2027? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But blessed we would be to make it that far.
Yeah.
Tends to make me think that could be when Christ returns, but who knows?
3 years? I don't know.
3 years from now? That seems off to me, but
yeah,
I don't see that potentially happening, but I don't know. I'm not God.
I'm not either.
I just know that things are going to get bad. They're not going to get better.
Yeah, and
I hate to be the doomsday. I hate to be the doomsday prepper, but I'm looking at everything going on around us, and I'm looking at prophecy being fulfilled minute by minute here, and I'm like, this is not going to get better. If this is truly prophecy getting fulfilled, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And
it should make you scared. It should bolster your faith.
Yeah, it should. If you're afraid, I would really challenge you. Why are you afraid? Because if you're really, I was you. Let me put it this way. If you're afraid, and I'm talking to you right now, I was you a couple of years ago, not that long ago, 5 years ago, maybe. I was you. I was afraid to die because I was unsure totally where I was going to go. I was unsure of my salvation. I wasn't bad, and I would consider myself a Christian. But the reason I was unsure is because I hadn't fully committed my life to Christ yet. I hadn't fully given my life over to God and literally said, God, I'm here, do it with me, whatever you want. The single thing, that greatest thing that has brought me is the peace of knowing that my eternity is secured.
Yeah.
So I do not, for the first time in my life, I do not have an eternal fear of death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to die. I'm not one of those people that say, oh, I'm okay. You can just shoot me and it's fine. I'm not that person. I don't want to die, and I'm afraid of suffering. I don't want to suffer.
Yeah.
I don't want to see my family suffer after I go or while I'm going or whatever. So yeah, there's that. I'm not naive to that, but I am not afraid of where my eternal security lies.
Yeah.
And if you are concerned about where your eternal security lies, I would say that you need to get in better fellowship with the Lord and with God.
Yeah.
And don't wait, because things are not getting better.
No.
Because if the things that we're talking about are potential to happen, we're going to have death on a scale that the world has never experienced before.
Yeah, and we're not trying to scare you to that either.
We are literally just speaking the words of the Bible.
Yeah.
And the Bible tells us this. The Bible tells us that we're going to have death on a scale that the world has never experienced before.
Yeah.
So, and that we don't know who that's going to be.
No,
could be you, could be me, could be neither of us, could be both of us. But we know that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, hey man, you could think, hey, you guys are crazy. None of this is going to happen. Okay, you might get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have a rock fall and hit you on the head. Or
yeah.
I'm like, we literally have had some of the weirdest things happen to people here lately. We found out the other day that our physician who we just started seeing a couple months ago, she up and died. Just had some kind of massive brain issue and just died. We had people in church today that said that somebody that was fairly young just passed away suddenly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you just never know. Life is very fleeting.
It is.
So don't take for granted the fact that you think you've got X amount of time left, because you are not guaranteed another second.
No, you're not.
You never know.
You're not at all.
So secure your salvation, kids.
That's right.
And secure your loved ones too, if you can. Granted, it's on them to do it, but you sure can be an influence there. Ben, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to see what happens.
That's right.
We will obviously keep an eye on everything, keep you all posted, and stay tuned. Definitely come back. We're going to have some great upcoming shows with some great and fascinating guests. We know that once you guys hear Derek, you're going to love him. And I think some of our other conversations that we're working on are going to be really fascinating for everybody too. And then, of course, Ben and I will still be doing our wacky thing in between, talking about stuff. And
yeah,
we're going to watch things as they happen. So make sure you guys stay tuned. If you haven't already, please do head over and be part of our family on Facebook. We have quite the little group on there. We do try to keep everybody updated as things roll out. We share things on there with everybody. So
I like to have fun.
Yeah, we like to have fun. We put fun stuff up there, and then we put some serious stuff up there, and we put some wacky stuff up there. We put some foily stuff up there. There's something for everyone's taste. But no, we have a fun little community over there. Please do be a part of that. And then also, hey, if you have a question or you want to tell us we're lunatics, that's perfectly fine. Send us an email at thedudes@thetfhc.com.
I want somebody to tell me I'm a lunatic. Just so I know that I am.
We have talked about reading emails on air. So if you want to have your email read, or you want to send us something,
if you have a question,
fantastic.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, we can have answer a question with Kyle and Ben session.
Yeah,
you can be part of the show. Yeah. So yeah, we've got some fun things planned. So definitely stay tuned. Head over to our merch store, thetfhc.com. Get you some swag. All the t-shirts are on sale right now through the end of the month. They're 20% off. So take advantage of our Conspiratees sale.
Oh, I see what you did.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm a fun guy.
Yeah.
So get you some swag, help us out, and show your appreciation for the show. And a little advertising on your back never hurt either.
Nope.
Technically, most of the advertising is going to be on your front because that's the way we design the t-shirts. But now we'd appreciate it. So with that, we will bid you adieu until next time on The Foil. Take care.
Bye.
Atomic. Atomic.